This is The Morgan Show. Morgan White Jr. Call 617-254-1030. Join the group and hang out with Morgan on WBZ News Radio 1030.
Good evening, everybody. It's 7 minutes after 10 here at WBZ News Radio 1030 on Saturday, June 18, 2016. Temperature is 71 degrees, and I am back. You wouldn't know it because I was here last Saturday. I'm here now. But in between those two shows, I ran away to Vegas. But I'll tell you more about my trip later on. It's about my guest. Every time over the past 3-4 months, when's Mel coming back? When's Mel coming back? When's Mel coming back? Guess what, people? He's sitting right across from me. Mel, say hello.
Hi, gang. Morgan, great to be with you.
And you're here. You're real.
I am.
You're not a hologram.
No, this is it. And it's been a long time, buddy. I'm delighted to be back with you.
I was consistent. I kept telling you, heal, get well, and you'll be back on the radio. And hardly any time at all, when you look backwards, here you are.
Well, as I say, I missed you. I really missed you,
But we did speak with regularity.
Oh, absolutely. And you came to visit me in the hospital, which I appreciate, along with Nancy. And but it's great to be back on the air with you.
Okay. Now, we're not doing the audio clip trivia quiz. A nickel goes to Steve Lavelli every time that phrase is mentioned because he came up with that phrase.
Right.
But we're going to talk about you as an author. Is this book number 14 that's being worked on as we speak?
Yes. It should be out sometime within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
There are 13 books already published.
And there are 13 books in that stack right there.
Right, you are.
So if you want to call in, talk to Mel about one of the books he's written. We'll go over all 13. But if you want to call in, you've got 1 or 2 or 3, or maybe you've got 8, 9, or 10 of the books Mel has written, and you want to talk to the author, here is your opportunity, 617-254-1030 or 888-WBZ-1030. There are no prizes tonight.
That's rare for us.
It's very rare for us. But I will say this. I'm going to be filling in for Bradley on July 4th. That's Sunday into Monday of July 4th. And I brought back a couple of prizes from Vegas. And I will give away a very nice T-shirt, choice of extra large or the ever popular, much sought after, rarely achieved double extra large T-shirt from Vegas. But more about that later on. Let's talk about the first book. What inspired you to write? Now, it was the radio book that was number one.
Yeah, I was at the radio convention in New Jersey, and a fella just had a book published. His name was Jack French. Jack is a terrific author and a terrific gentleman out of Washington, D.C., and he had this new book he wrote on lady detectives, and I saw it was Bear Manor Media. I said, Jack, I've written a book, but I don't know how to get it published. I wonder if you'd give me the phone number of Bear Manor Media. At that time, Ben Omart, the boss of Bear Manor,
still is,
was living in Pennsylvania. So I called him and I said, Ben, I have this new book. It's called the Old Time Radio Trivia Book, and I think you'd be the ideal publisher. He said, well, I'm not really interested in doing a book on old-time radio trivia, but why don't you send it to me anyway? So I did. He called me a week later. He said, I loved your book. What I neglected to tell him initially is that I had tons of pictures in it. He says, I'm going to publish your book. At that time, I was regular on the Steve Lavelli show, and I asked Steve if he would write the foreword, and he did. Steve wrote a wonderful foreword for me, and he published the book, and he called me a couple of months later. He said, your book is doing well. Why don't you do one on old-time television? So I wrote my second book called the Old Time Television Trivia Book, and I asked a gentleman that I'm sure you're familiar with to write the foreword for me. I'm a big fan of this guy. You remember Fred Foy?
Yeah. A thundering host with a cloud of dust and the hearty Miles Silver.
Exactly, and boy, was he a great announcer on the Lone Ranger radio show and television show.
Yes, he did both.
And Fred wrote the foreword for me, so Ben published my second book. This is the old-time television trivia book, and that's what really started the ball rolling.
And the rest
these first two books
is history.
Exactly.
Kenny and I do that periodically when we go tripping back down memory lane. And there are 13 right there.
Mm-hmm. I brought in all 13 books so I could remember who wrote the foreword for me.
Okay.
Then I decided to do something a little bit different with book number 3. It's called Old Time Radio Memories. And I got to interview a lot of wonderful people over the years. Let me read you a few of these radio personalities that I interviewed, and they were all great. I loved everyone except one person. I'll tell you about that in a second. But some of the people I interviewed were Edgar Bergen, Ezra Stone, Brett Morrison, who was The Shadow, Julie Stevens, who was Romance of Helen Trent, many people from the Jack Benny Show, Dennis Day, Don Wilson, Frank Nelson, Mel Blanc, Hal Perry, the Great Gildersleeve.
Yes.
Yeah, that's him.
Leroy.
Yeah. Jim Jordan, who was Fibber McGee. The entire cast of the Fred Allen Show, when Fred would walk through Allen's Alley, I interviewed Parker Fenley, Minerva Pires, Kenny Delmar, and Peter Donald. And they were all great. The person that I hated...
Do you want to say the name, or you want to wait till a commercial?
Let's keep him handy. Keep him hanging, rather.
Okay.
We'll tell who it is after the commercial.
Well, after the commercial, which is, as soon as I tell people, we have to reestablish... here comes Art Cohen.
No.
Oh, it's your... good grief, I thought it was Art Cohen.
That's my buddy.
How did he get in without having his name left?
I didn't think you were coming, Ross.
Yeah, they barred me from coming in.
I would have called the security guard.
Ross,
I was getting the hints.
how did you get in?
Yeah, how did you get in without us calling?
Mel gave me a key, didn't he tell you?
Oh, okay.
You know Morgan, this Ross London, and Nancy?
I do remember Nancy.
You know, you look like Art Cohen, our newsman. And that when I glanced, I thought it was Art Cohen.
Oh, Art Cohen is much better looking. It's not even close.
Much more handsome.
Oh.
Much more handsome. All right, now, for Randy, Ron, and Ross, I guess everybody today, whether they're in studio or on the phone, has to have an R leading their name. Let's take our first break of the hour, ending in an R. 617-254-1030. Mel will give us that name.
The person I hated.
The person you hated because they weren't...
Just not nice.
They weren't the image of what we like.
Exactly.
All right. Let's make some money for the station. What station, you say? Of course, WBZ, News Radio 1030, time and temperature, 10:14, 71 degrees.
The Morgan Show on WBZ News Radio 1030.
Are you worried about the high cost of tuition by the time your child is ready for college? I'm Martha Savory from MEFA, your Massachusetts Educational Financing Authority. Our solution is the U-Plan College Savings Program, which lets you lock in tomorrow's tuition at today's rates at more than 70 public and private colleges and universities in Massachusetts. Learn more about the U-Plan at MEFA.org, MEFA.org, the authority you can trust to help you plan, save, and pay for college.
GoDaddy presents Crazy Ideas That Worked. Meet Fred, who carves heads out of cheese.
Yeah, I was finishing a masterpiece of Shaquille O'Neal in Swiss. I hit a hole. Shaquille's face blew off. Everybody called me crazy. I got my domain, headsofcheese.com, from GoDaddy, and now they're selling like hotcakes. Made of cheese.
Got a crazy idea you think you can turn into success? We know you can, and we've got a domain for you. And now get a domain free with a website starting from $1 a month. Go you, GoDaddy. See website for details, not an actual customer.
Just don't lose the money consumer alert with Susan Warnick and Sam Lang.
There's a sophisticated phone scam making the rounds. Callers claim to be employees of the IRS, but they're not. They use fake names. They may know a lot about their targets, and they usually alter the caller ID to make it look like the IRS is calling. Be protected and know the IRS will never call to demand immediate payment without first having mailed you a bill. Another great way to protect yourself is to protect your retirement. And for more on that, my friend Sam Lang.
For over 20 years, my partner Rich and I have protected the assets of our clients both legally and financially with two simple rules. Rule number 1, just don't lose the money. And rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1.
Visit justdon'tlosethemoney.com. I post a weekly consumer alert, and Sam offers a free retirement readiness kit. For more consumer information and how to better protect your retirement, join us every Sunday at 8 p.m. here on WBZ Radio and visit justdon'tlosethemoney.com.
Need to get an oil change soon? BG? Ask for BG by name. Available at thousands of dealerships and top independent shops. The BG Protection Plan protects your vehicle's major systems for the life of the vehicle just by using BG products. BG. So if your engine fails down the road, BG picks up the tab. The best part? The policy is free and fully transferable nationwide. Don't forget to ask for your BG certificate when you pick up your car from the shop. Find one closest to you. BG. Findashop.com.
Go on and play the radio.
This is The Morgan Show.
Here with Morgan White.
Morgan White Jr.
Talk radio. On BZ till midnight.
Let's talk about that.
Right here on WBZ News Radio 1030.
We now have 3 people on hold to talk to you. Mel Simons wants to know, why aren't we getting calls? Because we haven't taken them yet.
Now I understand.
You took up the first segment telling about the first 3 or 4 books
Now
you wrote.
that you explained it to me, I understand.
All right, Charles Corral and Freeman Gostin.
Right you are.
Can I go to take phone calls now?
Please do.
All right, I got to do this with the mouse and touch this and say, Randy, how you doing in Chicago?
Oh, Morgan, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Randy.
Well, Mel, welcome home.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Great to talk to you.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So the answer to the quiz is Fibber McGee and Molly.
No, I enjoyed Jim Jordan. He was a very good interview.
Yeah.
They want me to tell you who I hated?
Yes.
Rudy Valley.
Oh.
He agreed to do the interview, and he was just one nasty man. Oh. My feeling is, why agree to do the interview if you didn't feel like doing it? But he agreed to do it, and it was like pulling teeth, getting him to answer questions.
Oh, it's too bad.
Not my favorite. In his time, he was very, very popular. He was kind of the Ed Sullivan of radio, with his variety show. But as a person, he didn't make it. Incidentally, Norm Crosby wrote the foreword for me in this book, the Old-Time Radio Memories.
Mr. Valenprop.
Yes, local boy and one of my all-time favorite comedians, Norm Crosby.
Yeah.
Hey, Randy, how you doing? What's happening?
Well, I'm doing very well. We had a great 2 conventions that we talked about earlier. The one in Lexington, Kentucky, and the one in Kalamazoo, Michigan. 2 old-time radio recording sessions and also conventions. So just want to get people out there in radio land to tune in next year to make sure they come to both Kalamazoo and to Lexington.
Oh, tell Morgan who you had for celebrities, because Morgan has interviewed one celebrity that you had at the convention.
And I was at a convention today. We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we had Kathy Garver and Paul Peterson at Kalamazoo.
Back up, stop, freeze, halt, go no further. I saw Kathy Garver today.
Oh, no kidding.
At the convention that was held in Wilmington at the Shriners Auditorium. Northeast Comic Con put together by Gary Summers, and I had Paul Peterson on a week ago.
I remember.
You're kidding. Oh, that's wonderful.
I've had Paul Peterson at least 7 or 8 times.
And I know Mr. Summers, too, by the way. And the other convention had Beverly Washburn and Ivan Curry.
Ivan Curry was radio's Bobby Benson and the B-Bar-B Writers.
Yes.
Name dropper.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did a wonderful show with him. We did the My Client Curly, the Norman Corwin production from 1940. So it was really wonderful.
Yeah, Randy reenacts old radio shows. And he has
almost like the radio classics that we used to do here.
Exactly, but he brings his own people out of the Illinois area, and Randy does a wonderful job conducting this.
Well, thank you. Did you say old Randy conducts radio shows?
No. Randy conducts old radio shows.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Randy, thank you for calling.
Thanks, Mel.
Always a pleasure,
Hey,
Randy.
Morgan.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you both. Bye-bye.
There goes Randy, and here comes Ron in Marblehead. By the way, Mel, give the phone number again.
The phone number here is area code 617-254-1030.
Or 888-WBZ-1030. And now, Ron.
Hello.
You're on BZ Radio with Mel Simons.
Hey, Ron.
Hello, Mel.
How you doing, buddy?
How are you feeling?
Better. I'm coming along. I'm still not 100%, but coming along.
It's great to hear you back on.
Thank you. I missed
radio
Morgan's show.
again. I missed the trivia, but hey.
We'll get back to
maybe the
normal.
next
I
time.
said to Morgan, by August I should be working full deck. Well, I'm working half a deck now, but full deck come August, we'll go back to the audio clip trivia quiz.
And this is Nancy's suggestion. She said, well, why don't you have Mel on and he can talk about the many books he's written? And the light bulb went off over my head. Ding! What a great suggestion.
It sure was. Thank you,
What's
Nancy.
the new one, Mel?
The new one that will be out in 2 weeks. It's called the Old Time Radio Trivia Book Part 4.
Part 4.
Right, and I'm just putting the finishing touches on the Old Time Television Trivia Book Part 2.
Still no wrestling book, huh?
It's in the back of my mind, Ron. It's the only reason I'm hesitant with doing a trivia book on wrestling is because there's so many other things I want to do.
Yeah.
But it's, as I say, it's the back of my mind. It might happen down the road.
Ron, who's your favorite wrestler?
Well, Mel knows.
Well, I'm asking you.
George the Animal Steel.
Right.
He's one of my very best
Me
friends.
too, Ron. I'm with you.
I've had him on twice.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful guy.
Did you hear him when he was on with me?
Yeah.
Oh, sure he did. Of course, Ron called even when George was on.
Yeah. George and I are very friendly. He's having some health problems right now, too. In fact, he's in the hospital.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope he'll be okay because he's one of the all-time greats, not only as a wrestler, but as a person, as you know, Morgan. The best.
Clearly.
Well, on Facebook, it says he's in neutral.
Now, what does that mean?
I don't know.
He's in the hospital
and he's in neutral.
In neutral. I'm not quite... Anybody knows the answer to that.
He's got some serious health...
I guess that means he's not in reverse and he's not in drive.
Yeah, that's right.
Well said.
Ron, thank you for the call.
Thanks,
Very
Ron.
good. Nice talking to you. Stay well, Mel.
Bye-bye.
And have a good rest of your weekend. Let's go to Howard, our old buddy Howard in Randolph. Howard, how you doing?
Welcome back, Morgan, and welcome back to Mel.
Thanks, Howard. Nice to hear from you.
And welcome to WBZ.
I happen to be the lucky owner of 3 of Mel's books, 2 of which I won, and one I purchased. And I'm going to try and buy a few more from him.
Oh, well, thank you, Howard. Always a pleasure. Always nice to see you when we go to see Morgan in Dedham.
And Howard, thank you for your call that you called me at home. I didn't hear my messages for...
A week?
A week.
Yeah.
So one of them was from Howard.
Nice.
And
All right, see you Tuesday.
I'll see you on Tuesday.
Thanks, Howard.
Take care, Howard. There goes Howard. Open line available. 617. Give the number.
617-254-1030. We'll put you on the air, gang.
All right. Now, we're going to go to a community where almost I spent my time in L.A. John in Los Angeles, welcome to WBZ.
How are you? Hey, Mel, welcome back.
Thanks, John. Nice to hear from you as well.
Janet, here's here.
It's Janet, Mel.
Hi, Janet. How you doing, kiddo?
I'm okay. Good to hear your voice.
First time you've called. John has called many times, but first time you've been on. Thank you.
I know. I said I want to get on the air to wish Mel welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're sitting here staring at a stack of your books.
Well,
I'm staring at a stack right here.
Yeah, I'll have a new one for you guys in about 2 weeks. The Old Time Radio
Yeah.
Trivia Book Part 4.
I think, Morgan, I think you have a bigger stack than I do. I need to catch up a
No,
little.
I don't have this. Well, I have almost all of Mel's books.
I think you have all of them.
All of Mel's books, but he brought a stack with him of the 13 that were out and available and purchasable, but he's working on number 14, which will be available within a couple of weeks.
Looking forward to that one, too.
Thank you, John. You'll be amongst the first to receive, as will Morgan.
Thank you, Mel.
How's Janet doing with that latest thing she was going through?
She's doing good. She's a fighter, and she's doing good.
Great. Give her a big hug from me.
I will, and I hope to see you soon if you come out to L.A. or even wherever.
I hope so, John.
You were out in L.A. about a year ago, were you not?
That's
SPIRTVAC convention.
I've been to 3 SPIRTVAC conventions, and that's where I met John at the first one, and we became buddies. And we not only phone buddies, but hanging around in L.A. He took me to different bookstores and picture stores, and John was just a wonderful, wonderful host when I was out there.
I can see you in the Sunset Strip just catching rays and enjoying the ambiance. The weather in L.A., you can't beat it. The only thing I don't like about L.A. is the traffic. It's brutal.
I know. I hear you.
Yeah, nobody
We're living
knows. Nobody knows better than you, John.
We live it every day, but
I hear you.
Got to get used to it after a while.
All right, John. Well, thank you for taking the time
thanks,
to
John.
call.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. It's good talking to you both.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
There goes John in L.A. And look at this. We traveled 3,000 miles from L.A. to Maine with Linda. Linda, good evening. Welcome to WBZ.
Good evening. I have to tell you a quick story about area codes. Maine has one area code, so nobody dials it. I have a cell phone out of Pennsylvania, okay? Now, I tell people, if you do not dial 1 from a landline, you get this poor woman who has my cell phone number, and she says, no, you must dial 1 first. And if they leave a message, I never get it. So I emphasize dial 1 first. And they're not used to that in Maine. So I don't know. Other states like Montana, they probably have the same problem.
Nevada has one area code.
Oh.
And you can well imagine how many phones there are concentrated in Las Vegas, but the entire state's area code is 702.
Wow. Well, 207 is Maine.
Right.
The area I came from had 2 area codes, so that was just Eastern PA. But now, I was wondering how you decide what to put in your books and what trivia not to put in your book. How do you make the decision?
That's a very good question.
That's a good question, Linda. Yeah, well, every book is different. In other words, I put a theme on the trivia books. I do trivia books on old-time radio, old-time television, music, which we'll get to in a little while, Broadway. That'll be a forthcoming book also. And general, as a matter of fact, the book I was going to mention next is called the Showbiz Trivia Book. And what I did in this one, Linda, all forms of show business, from radio to television to Broadway, music, every form of show business, stand-up comics. And the forward in this book was written by one of my all-time favorite comedians, Bob Elliott, of Bob and Ray fame.
And you've gotten Bob Elliott as a guest for me.
Absolutely. And, you know, he passed away just a few months ago, and I was just destroyed. He was 93. He was about to celebrate his 93rd birthday. And for the past 7 years, a buddy of mine, Pierce Sears, and I went up to visit him up in Harpswell, Maine. And he is the nicest guy you could ever meet. Absolutely no ego.
I thought I was the nicest guy.
You're second. It's very, very close.
I'm now first.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're first. But I just can't say enough things about Bob Elliott. Not only did he write the foreword in this book, but another book we'll get to in a little while. He wrote a second foreword for me. And basically that's it. And then I supplement the trivia books with interview books I've done with famous people. And I've written 2 joke books, 2 clean joke books. And that'll be after the TV trivia book comes out, part 2. I'm going to do a third joke book, a clean joke book, which is unheard of these days.
Jokes are much funnier when they're clean.
I totally agree.
Now, Linda, I am about 50 seconds away from CBS News, but I'm going to tell you a fact, maybe or not, you didn't know about area codes. Since you brought it up, it made me think of this fact. Before cell phones and other expansions of area codes, like we went in Boston to 508 and then 413, all area codes needed to have either a 0 or 1 in the middle. I just thought you might be interested in knowing that.
No.
You don't care anymore.
I didn't know that, but my area code is 610.
All right,
so,
well, there we go.
Okay,
Now,
that's interesting.
I've got to wave goodbye to you because here comes CBS News. Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, Linda.
Thanks, Linda.
Enjoy
Bye-bye.
the rest of your weekend. For everybody else, right now, a nice man from CBS.
CBS News update. It is blistering hot over much of the Southwest right now. That also means wildfires. In several states, many of them large, some of them dangerous. One of the biggest ones has been burning in the hills near Santa Barbara. Firefighters did catch a bit of a break as winds died down, and the so-called Sherpa fire is now considered about 45% contained, but those winds are expected to kick up again.
Unfortunately, tonight in our forecast, we have predicted some winds, and along with that, some lower humidity throughout the night.
That's CAL FIRE spokesman Richard Cordova, and with more, KNX reporter Pete Demetrio.
You can get crews in there on foot, and I mean literally on foot. You march somebody up to a ridge, you get down there, and you have to cut a scratch line, which is you remove all the vegetation and get down to bare earth, 30 feet wide as a minimum for hundreds of yards at a time. You can normally do that with bulldozers, but if it's so steep that bulldozers can't even get in there and get traction.
CBS News update. I'm Tom Foti.
Do you suffer with loose or painful dentures? Are you tired of using those gooey creams and adhesives? End it today. Denture wearers are needed for a new clinical study that fixes denture problems with mini dental implants. Improve your quality of life with mini dental implants. They're a great and safe way to regain your dental health and bring back your youthful smile. The results are proven. Your teeth will look and feel even better than the originals.
To find out if you qualify for this exciting study, call the dental implant specialists at Doctors Argyros and Plord, 978-278-1760. Doctors Argyros and Plord handle every phase of the implant treatment and offer IV sedation for apprehensive patients. Interest-free financing is available to those participants who qualify. And the great news, mini dental implants cost 60% less than conventional implants. Research slots are limited, so secure your spot now by calling 978-278-1760. That's 978-278-1760 or visit iwantteethnow.com.
You know what the fastest growing crime in America is? Identity theft. One way this crime happens is when someone adds their charges to your credit card. But it can happen many other ways too, like when someone pretends to be you, open new accounts, charge their utility bill to your name, or any number of illegal acts. That's where LifeLock can help. They use proprietary technology to detect and alert you to a whole range of identity thefts. And if there's a problem, their U.S.-based team of specialists will work to resolve it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But you'll get more protection with LifeLock than from free credit monitoring alone. Join right now and you'll get a special 15% discount off your first year. Call or visit lifelock.com. Use promo code 15radio. That's 15radio. Act now. Offer ends July 3rd. Call 1-800-LIFELOCK. That's 1-800-LIFELOCK and use promo code 15radio.
Every afternoon.
A report on safety in the 29-campus UMass system makes a number of recommendations for improvement.
Diane Stern.
Most of them involve communication.
Jeff Brown.
Governor Baker names his choices to fill 3 seats on the state Supreme Court.
All afternoon, 3 until 8.
Omar Mateen's second wife apparently knew at least something about his plan. She says she tried to stop her husband from committing the attack.
The News Watch never stops.
WBZ News Radio 1030.
Get on the radio.
Can I have a word with you? You're in very good voice today.
You talking to me?
City boy stranger here, Morgan White is his name. Right on the radio, busy here, talking conversation. Morgan is his name.
The Morgan Show.
I'm on the air.
Morgan White Jr. 50,000 watts of Morgan. WBZ News Radio 1030.
Morgan is his name.
About ring your bell, fairly well Annabelle. Luck is the lady that he loves the best. That's a theme from Maverick.
Oh, of course.
But
I knew that.
Michael Coleman reworded it to be a promo for me.
Does he do a great job with these different promos?
He does a fantastic job.
Knocks me out.
Okay, we left off at Book 5. We didn't talk about Book 5 yet.
1, 2, 3. We left off at Book 4, which was the Showbiz Trivia book.
Yeah, we talked about that with Linda.
Yeah, Book 5 is called Old Time Television Memories. And let me tell you who did the forward before I tell you who I interviewed.
By the way, nice picture of you in the back.
Thank you.
How many retouch-ups did they have to do to get the photo?
Many.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Two facelifts alone.
Yeah, red is your color.
Milton Berle is on the cover. And I'll tell you who wrote the foreword. Let's see if you can tell me his real name. His famous saying was, "My name, Jose Jimenez."
Well, Bill Dana.
Bill Dana did the foreword. local boy from Quincy. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah, Bill Zathmary is his real name. And what I wanted to do in this book is interview television personalities. Let me read you some of the people that I interviewed, and they were all great. There wasn't a Rudy Valley in the bunch. I interviewed Milton Berle, Georgie Jessel, Maury Amsterdam, Clayton Moore, who was the Lone Ranger, Sheldon Leonard, Steve Allen, Perry Como, who was an absolute doll.
Nobody famous could show up?
Oh, isn't that? It's like a who's who.
Yeah.
Gail Storm, My Little Margie.
And the Gail Storm Show.
The Gail Storm Show is right. Soupy Sales, Joe Franklin, Mr. Nostalgia, and I loved every one of them. Oh, Larry Storch also.
Let me ask, I know how I do it, but I'm assuming you take a different route to get in touch with these celebrities. How do you do it?
For many years, I was the master of ceremonies at the Brickman Hotel in the Catskills.
Yes.
And I got to MC these wonderful entertainers who I got friendly with, because I not only MC'd them, but I hosted them. I had meals with them. And a friendship developed, and not one single person refused an interview. I think my all-time favorite was Milton Berle. He was terrific. He really opened up.
Uncle Milty, Mr. Television.
Like talking to an encyclopedia. I would throw different names at him, because he knew everybody from Chaplin to modern people. And I would say, tell me about Enrico Caruso. Tell me about Chaplin. Tell me
you'd have a story.
A story on everybody. Tell me about Jimmy Durante. Tell me about Jack Benny. He had a story on everybody. The only thing I regret is that many of the interviews I did with him, I did not tape. But 3 interviews I did tape.
Okay.
And he was the best.
Anyone out there, if you would like to call in, my guest is Mel Simons. And most of you don't know this side of Mel. You win a book. You know he's got a book out at times when he's on doing the audio clip trivia quiz. But you don't know this side. A very accomplished author. To write 14, soon 15, and 16 books, a labor of love. He puts a lot into all of the books he has put out. If you would like to call in, 617-254-1030, please do, or 888-WBC-1030. And even if you don't know Mel Simons, you should if you're listening to this radio station. He's been a part of this radio station going back to the 70s with Larry Glick.
Right.
But if you don't know Mel, you know some of the names he's mentioned. You know the name of Milton Berle. You know the name of Jimmy Durante. And Mel, either indirectly or directly, has touched and been touched by these celebrities. So just like you were telling everybody, when you spoke to Milton Berle, he told you about this person, that person. Now, you can do the same thing. People call in, and Mel can tell you about Lucy, and might have a few Lucy stories. Mel can tell you about Don Rickles. He and I have talked about Rickles. So if you would like to hear his opinion of any number of the pop culture names of the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now the 21st century, here is your opportunity to do so. Because, Mel, I hate saying this. I don't want to compliment you. I don't want to say nice things about you.
You never do. Never.
But I'm about to break that habit. Mel is a very knowledgeable person. Pick his brains. Give him a call. And perhaps you might hear a little insight to person A, celebrity B, that you didn't know before. I'm sorry I interrupted you, so continue your point about book 5.
That's
book 6.
This is book 6. It's called The Movie Trivia Book. And I'm a movie buff. I've been a movie buff since I was 4 years old. Hard to believe. And Rex Traylor wrote the foreword for me.
Good. I loved Rex.
Rex Traylor was one of the great celebrities, local celebrities, that nobody could say anything unkind about. And when I asked him to write a foreword, he said I'd be delighted. And he wrote a lovely, lovely foreword. This is called The Movie Trivia Book. And it deals with every aspect of the movies, not only actors and actresses, but movies, directors, producers. And I had a lot of fun putting this book together.
Hoof beats, hoof beats, hoof beats, thunder across the prairie wide. I got some of those notes right. Not many.
Every other one was right on, Morgan. Not bad, buddy. Not bad.
Now, I want to say hello to the people I met today at the Northeast Comic-Con in Wilmington. You were going to go. You were scheduled to go, but it just didn't work out.
I just didn't feel up to it. You know, I had to be in Rhode Island at noon and then back, and I figured it would be just a little too much. It's the first time I have not gone to that collectible show.
Well, it was a great show. Mentioning Kathy Garver, she was there. Barry Bostwick, a lot of you remember that actor's name.
And one of the monkeys.
And Mickey Dolenz was there. And there were so many people in costume.
Did you have any conversation with Mickey Dolenz?
No, but I will today. I will try today. He was surrounded when they first opened the segment where he was.
Mm-hmm.
There was like Barry Bostwick and a few other performers. Mickey Dolenz, the line was like trying to cash a check at the bank on Fridays.
I'll bet.
And the other celebrities didn't have as many people wanting their autographs.
I would think Mickey was probably the biggest name there.
And some people purchased, you know, they sell photos and whatnot, but a lot of people brought stuff to be signed by him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very gracious, and I know a lot of people enjoyed getting a chance to interact with somebody who's been around for 50 years. The Monkees, they came out with an album within the past.
I was just going to mention that. I had heard, I think, on your show that he does have a new album.
Yeah,
or the Monkees.
The Monkees have a new album, and it went #1. Now, to have an album #1, and then 50 years later to have album #1.
That's amazing.
That's longevity.
Boy, that is something.
Yep.
Unprecedented.
So he was there today, and he will be there tomorrow, Sunday. It's a 2-day event, this Comic-Con.
And you will be there also tomorrow.
I will be there doing trivia. We brought, Mel, you know, you've been there when I've been there before. I take a table, and I've got a lot of my stuff spread out. If I am exaggerating, we had 15 different movies represented by paraphernalia, T-shirts, hats, sunglasses, all sorts of giveaways. I had between 150 and 200 things to give away. And I didn't have time to pack it all. Who packed it all? Yes. Nancy packed it all, and it was well received. A lot of people, we gave away weird things. The movie with Denzel Washington gave away a multi-connector, something you'd see out of Mission Impossible, with the different ends that you can go from device A to device B.
Mm-hmm.
And one guy came up, "Are you selling that?" I said, "No, you have to win it." "Win it how?" "Playing trivia with me." "Well, can I try to win it?" I said, "No, I'll give it to you." "You don't want to take money for it?" "No, I don't want to take money for it, because I never take money for my prizes."
Yes, I know.
And he was so happy. And I said, the beauty of this is, if it works, great, you made a great deal. If it doesn't work, great, you made a great deal because it didn't cost you anything. And he came back about a half hour later. It worked. Thank you very much.
Very nice. Very nice of you.
Yeah, I met a lot of nice people today.
Mm-hmm.
A gentleman with 4 daughters. And one of his... Now, I'm going to give a character. You have no reference point to this. One of his daughters and her best friend, he had brought them. The 2 girls were dressed as Sailor Moon characters. And Sailor Moon is a very popular anime TV series. And it lends to empowerment of young girls. Most action movies and TV shows are male-based. But even before Hunger Games, which obviously promoted the popularity of that character being a female, that Archer, Sailor Moon came out about 15, 20 years ago and is still living in its popularity today. So they were dressed as Sailor Moon characters. So every time I saw them, I said, "Sailor Moon!"
They reacted?
And they reacted.
Nice.
And there were a lot of nice people, and see if I get this name right. Pat and his son Brian. I don't know if they're listening, but Brian is blind, and Pat brought him over to me. I had interacted with Pat first. Do you have any Spider-Man questions? I said, of course I do. So I gave him a Spider-Man question, and he didn't know.
Oh.
So I gave him a clue. I gave him the initials of the person that he needed to say, and that helped pop the memory in his mind. And I said, see, I'm a nice guy. I could have left you twisting in the wind, and you wouldn't have known.
I'm sure you could have.
And he brought his son over to me. So he wanted me to interact with his son, Brian. And I did.
Nice.
His son, Brian, is a big Sylvester Stallone and Nick Nolte fan. So if you two are listening, hi, guys, how you doing? See you today. See you tomorrow, being Sunday. I'm sorry, Mel. I went off and proud.
No, not at all. And you'll be there tomorrow as well.
Yes. From 10:30 until mid-afternoon. So that's about that. You're here tonight. Let's talk. You're the star. You're the star of the day. Who will it be? Your vote may hold the key. It's up to you. Mel, tell us who.
Who'll be star of the day?
See, you got all the notes right. That's not fair.
I was on community auditions when I was 15 years old.
Playing the accordion?
No. I used to do impressions of movie stars. And tell you how good I was. The following week, there were 6 contestants. The following week, they announced the top 3. I didn't make the top 3.
No.
I was so embarrassed. I told everybody I came in 4th.
Why were you doing Marceau impressions? It doesn't carry well on TV.
Now you tell me. I wish you had told me then.
I'll tell you what.
I was so embarrassed. They announced the top 3 and I didn't come in.
I'm going to get a Kleenex during this break and dab that tear away from your eye.
Thank you very much. I can use all the help.
Let's take the break. And by the way, I forgot to mention our producer, Andrew. Andrew, thank you for being front and center and running the big control board on the other side of the looking glass.
Me too, Andrew.
Can't do the show without him.
Right.
But right now, let's take our break. The time and the temperature here in WBZ, 10:48 and 70 degrees.
The Morgan Show on WBZ News Radio 1030.
Summer's here. Wouldn't it be really great if you suddenly found some extra cash, money to go on vacation, fix up your patio, or to just save for college and retirement? Log on to findmassmoney.com and claim your share of more than $2 billion in unclaimed property, like forgotten bank accounts, stock certificates, payroll and refund checks, or insurance proceeds. 1 in 10 people have unclaimed property and don't even know it. Log on to findmassmoney.com. Plug in your name and hometown, and you'll find out instantly if you're on the list. Or call the state treasurer's office at 1-888-344-MASS. Even if you've checked before, check again. Visit findmassmoney.com.
The countdown to 1,000 is on at the Gallery Automotive Group. Hey, it's New England wide receiver Danny Amendola. Do you know what's hot right now at Gallery? 1,000 cars must be sold this month. BMWs, Hondas, Mazdas, Volkswagens, Minis, all must go. Plus, one lucky person will drive away with a free car. And this is a great opportunity to save big because Gallery's got to move them out. Stop in now and take a test drive. Can you hear it? Your opportunity to save big is knocking. Check out the countdown to 1,000 at GalleryGroup.com. That's GalleryGroup.com.
2-year lease valued up to $8,150. In life, you can either go through the motions, fooling yourself with activity, or you can get results. Hope is not a strategy. So when it comes to dating, do you have a plan? For more than 3 decades, Lunch Dates has used a proven strategy that gets results. Lunch Dates matchmakers get to know you and your relationship goals. They hand select and pre-screen your matches from their exclusive membership base, and even book your date reservations at the best spots in town.
Make time for what's important. Call Lunch Dates today at 617-DATE-NOW or go to lunchdates.com.
Hi, this is Rebecca. I want to share with you how quantum fat loss has changed my family. Paul has lost more than 50 pounds. He lost 40 pounds in 40 days. We have 4 kids. We have family meals that are healthy, and I really, really attribute this to the experience that we had while Paul was on quantum fat loss. Get your health and your life back. Go to quantumfatloss.com.
Call 508-366-7766. That's 508-366-7766.
Save $1,500 this month on the Ultimate Paint Job. I'm Matt.
I'm Pat. We own Rhino Shield of New England, America's leading permanent paint brand.
Rhino Shield ceramic coating is far more durable than a traditional paint job. The proof is the radio test.
The radio test?
Yes, we've been on the radio for over a decade. That means Rhino Shield has been on homes in New England just as long. long. And today, that first house we painted looks just as good as the last.
You're right. The only way to stay on the radio is to deliver your promise. And Rhino Shield promises the ultimate paint job.
Delivering on our promise is why Rhino Shield has been rated A+ by the BBB for over a decade.
But again, the best evidence are years of durable results on thousands of homes across America.
If you keep painting your house year after year, this time call Rhino Shield and get the ultimate paint job.
And get our summer special. Schedule your job before June 30th and save $1,500.
Call 888-90-RHINO today.
888-90-RHINO. Rhino Shield. Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino.
At Walgreens, getting diabetes testing supplies with Medicare Part B is a walk in the park. Really, because getting what you need is quick and easy, giving you more time for other things. There's $0 out of pocket on all major brands like One Touch and Walgreens True Metrics, and no extra paperwork. So managing diabetes becomes a stroll down Easy Street, or a trip to the movies, or even a day at the beach. Talk to your pharmacist today. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Zero out-of-pocket cost when billed to Medicare and full coverage supplemental insurance.
Who is this?
You know the guy on the radio?
His name? Morgan. Just listen carefully. He's very smart. Morgan!
He's so adorable.
We're talking about the man whom we all love very much.
People will call from their cars and home. People will use their own cell phone. They listen all over the country. To get it right all night, you tune that radio to that
The Morgan Show.
all night. They call us, talk about Morgan.
Morgan White Jr. on WBZ News Radio 1030.
The OJs did a song called For the Love of Money.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Coleman remixed it for that bump for me.
Michael is absolutely amazing.
Yep.
He knocks me out, all these little things he does for you. Just so professionally done.
Yes. Well, he's been doing that sort of production, I'm going to say 20 to 25 years. He used to work at BCN, which is no longer on the air. And at some point was hired here at BZ. And other than doing bumps for me, for Dan, for Jordan, for Bradley, and Chris, the commercials that you hear on the station throughout the schedule, etc., he does it all.
Man of many talents.
So, speaking of talents, it takes talent to write a book. You have written now 14, soon to be 15 and 16, with the next two books on the horizon. But the book where your finger is in the middle right now, tell people about that book.
Well, the name of the book is called Voices from the Philco. It's another interview book I've done with famous radio personalities. And on the front cover is Fanny Bryce as Baby Snooks.
And ironically, Fanny Bryce is being replicated right now at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater.
So I've heard.
Where Funny Girl is playing. I think they still have one more show.
I think the 19th is the last show. That would be tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah. And Dan Ray wrote the foreword for me in this book. Our good buddy Dan Ray wrote a lovely foreword. Let me tell you some of the radio people that I interviewed. This is kind of a who's who. I interviewed Art Linkletter, Hildegard, Arnold Stang, Bob Elliott.
With a chunk of chocolate.
Yeah. I loved Arnold Stang. Chelsea boy, you know.
Yeah.
Phil Harris, Gail Gordon, Don McNeil, Jay Johnston, who was Mr. District Attorney, Jackie Kelk, who was Homer on Henry Aldridge, Win Elliott, the sports announcer, another Chelsea boy, and this is one of my favorite books. Henry Aldridge. And Dan Ray just wrote the nicest foreword for me in this book, which I was...
Well, you paid him $1,000 to say nice things.
A couple of bucks less.
Oh, okay.
But Dan really came through for me.
And speaking of people who've come through for you, you ready for your next guest?
Sure.
His name is Pierce.
Oh, my buddy Pierce.
Your buddy Pierce. Pierce, thank you for calling. Welcome to BZ.
Hello, Morgan. It's a long time since I've seen you.
It's been a while.
Well, I've got to make it over to Jacob West one of these Mondays.
You do it. Every Monday I'm there from 5:30 until 7.
That's good to know.
Yes. You called to speak to Mel? Am I just an incidental here?
Yeah.
Hey,
Hello,
Pierce.
Mel.
Good to hear from you. I mentioned you earlier. I talked about the last 7 years where we both went up to visit Bob Elliott up in Harpswell, Maine.
Oh, yeah. So
and he was just the nicest guy.
Oh, not only the nicest guy, but the nicest family, the whole family.
The whole family. We've met many members of the family. He lives with his son, Bob Jr., but other members of the family have been up the same time that Pierce and I had been up. And it's just a Class A family. I'm sure you'll agree with me.
Yeah, I certainly do. They are wonderful friends.
Yeah, I agree.
Mel, when you were first telling about your first book, and you were telling about what caught the publisher's attention, those pictures, you didn't mention every one of those pictures was autographed to you.
Yeah, and I tell you, I got a lot of the pictures. Kenny Meyer and I were involved years ago with a big broadcast here at WBZ. And I got to meet all these wonderful, it was a who's who of old-time radio personalities that WBZ flew in. And I got to interview them all. And basically, that's how the interview started. And little by little, I got phone numbers and addresses of other celebrities. And unfortunately, none of them are around. The last great radio personality passed away just a few days ago, Janet Waldo.
Yes.
And she was an absolute doll. I loved interviewing her. Janet Waldo did a lot of radio, did a lot of television.
Animation.
Judy Jetson, of course.
Yes.
And she was, of all the people I've interviewed, if I had to pick one of my top favorites, I would certainly pick her. She was unfortunately, had been very sick for a while. She was 96 when she passed away, and absolutely a delicious lady.
Well, it's nice to hear you, Mel, and I'm really listening with rapt attention to your retelling of your stories.
Yeah, every book has kind of a story behind it, and I really loved most of these people.
Except Rudy Valley.
Except Rudy Valley. I love them all. Nobody gave me a hard time. Hey, Freeman Gosden did not want to talk about Amos and Andy, but he was a perfect gentleman. But Rudy was just plain nasty.
Well, let me ask about Freeman Gosden again. That put he and Charles Correll on the map.
Yes.
Amos and Andy made them famous, made them millions. I understand the controversy. Obviously. I clearly understand the controversy.
Of course, you should, as an African-American, you certainly should.
But why wouldn't he want to at least talk about it?
Because when I called him, it was so controversial. Remember, the FCC took Amos and Andy off radio and television.
What years are we talking?
This was in the 50s, in the late 50s. And when they took them off television...
I'm sorry, Mel, but what year did you talk to him?
Oh, I spoke to him in the 70s.
Okay.
But it was a very highly controversial subject,
Still,
you see.
Yeah.
Amos and Andy was a top 10 show on television when the FCC took them off. And Freeman just could not have been nicer, even though he said, I've spoken many times about Amos and Andy, and I think I've said it all. And he just could not have been nicer, but would not talk about the subject.
All right. Well, tell you what. We've got news to take here in BZ. We'll pick that up on the other side with your calls here in BZ.